This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, this is Southampton's Greenway Committee. It is Thursday, June 15th, 7:12 p.m. First item on the agenda, reviewing past meeting minutes. The past meeting was Thursday, May 11th. Minutes taken by Janet Brown. Everyone has a copy. Take a look. If there are no edits, they can be posted to My Town Government. Give it 1 minute.
Who's Melissa Haskins? Is she affiliated with one of the barns?
Town resident. She's actually a teacher. She was just here out of interest. So
she was concerned about our property a little bit. She's mentioned down in here, but she's worried about our property.
I don't remember if she abuts or if she just happens to be close by, but
yeah,
she was.
Yeah, Gun Road area.
Yeah, the area. I can picture.
Was she wanting equestrian access, or
she brought it up?
Concerned about it.
She brought it up as a topic, and it was actually discussed as like, is there space for it? However, I think equestrian access was mentioned in the past from the Grindstone area south and not as far north. And I think that's important because I don't think it will physically be possible given some of the elevation change and water and things like that. So I think she asked about it, but not in a I need it in the entire length of the.
She's pleasant.
Yeah.
Good sport. I love the font size at the bottom.
Well, that's really for my own benefit. This is tonight's agenda.
I have no edits to offer.
I have nothing.
Propose to accept the minutes as written. I move to propose it.
Can I second? I think so. Janet, would you like to upload?
Vocally, I.
Do we approve?
No, we don't need to. That was because we had a mixed meeting last night.
Okay.
Requirement to do a.
Some meetings we do. Okay, so we'll just say it was second and no discussion. Okay.
Would you like to upload, or would you like me to upload the minutes?
I'll do it. I can do it to Lucy and to the town if you want.
That would be.
I will do that.
Much appreciated.
Okay.
Just noting my actions to take. Okay, there's nothing else on minutes. Agenda item number 2. I was hoping for an update on the Mass Trails grant or a discussion on it. Luckily, we already have an answer. It was awarded $320,000 from Mass Trails.
Yay.
And that was also, not in addition to, but the required matching funds was approved at the town meeting. I don't remember when that was. That was also mid-May. But we have both, and that leaves us in quite good shape at the moment.
Can you go over specifics on that?
Yes.
Did you?
No, go ahead.
So the way it worked, the $300,000 from the 2022 Mass Trails grant is all being committed by June by tie and bond with what they have planning to be done by end of June 30th. There's $100,000 of a match that the state allowed us to drag into the next year because they didn't think they could. So the $100,000 that the town used for CPC match is actually not being used up before June 30th, so it's available from starting in July, in addition to the $320,000, in addition to another $65,000 from second CPC, the $65,000 match for the 2023 Mass Trails grant. So indeed, there's $485,000 that they have to use in the next, that we have to use in the next fiscal year. And
in the next what?
Between July 1st and June 30th, 2024.
Okay.
I was in the car with Ed, and he said he's actually sort of already asked Time Bond to come back with a specific proposal of what they're going to do so that they're going to hit the ground running July 1st. They'll have a contract for that period because the existing contract only runs to June 30th. So he was able to, because the state moved quicker in their responsibilities, he was able to actually move quick retire bond. So he expects to have something in place before July 1st so that they're up and running and can start their work and there's no delay there. So that's actually really good.
I have a request. Can we actually see that proposal before it gets stamped and signed and sealed?
Probably.
I mean, with the Greenway Committee.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will send an email to both of them and say.
I've also been curious. I don't know.
It may happen before we meet again. It just, or it may be finalized before we meet. We have to figure that one out.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure.
If there's something we're going to have
Yeah.
to be about,
Yeah.
well,
So
we can figure
your
it
point
out.
has been taken. Yep. Has to get it sent to us, then it sends to him.
Do you think Alex can confirm what has been billed to date?
Well, I can tell you what they've done, and I don't think they're going to be. I'm probably yes, but let me at least tell you what I know. So they completed the survey, which is just delineating where the borders of the rail bed are, or the railroad property.
This is number 4, by the way.
They completed wetlands review, so they had to do a second phase when things warmed up and plants were out. They had to do drillings, core drillings, to make sure that the stable substrata, or whatever the right term is, especially near the bridges.
Mm-hmm.
They completed that within the last week, apparently with a little bit of a surprise in the middle of it, but it got done. I think one of their trucks caught on fire or something.
So they were able to finish that.
They were able to finish it.
Great.
But so those are the big pieces that are the biggest billable pieces, and I'm sure some of their time. And I'm not aware of anything else specific. They're sort of working towards the 25% plan, you know, their background stuff.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of anything else specifically. But I can try to get further update.
Are we going to ask Alex to come like every other month or something to do an update? Or just with you, in your communications with him?
Question should be, it's a good question for everyone to answer, yeah. So, I think
think
we
it
should
would
have a
be-
purpose to it, but
I think it would be good to have him come to a meeting before the first public presentation.
yeah.
And we don't know exactly when that is, but I think it would be nice for us to.
We were actually sort of chatting about the idea, and if we ballpark the addressing the residents for October, I think that was Alex's recommendation. Yeah, Michael recommended August, or if not the next meeting, then I think by the end of the summer we should have at least a bit of an understanding as to where are we with that process, what is proposed to be presented to the town, and how do we commit to actually making that real so that there's plenty of time to communicate it, make a plan, and then know that it's going to be value added for everyone. I don't know if he'll want to. I don't know if he'll feel bothered coming on a monthly or every other month basis, or if he's willing, or if he wants to just plan ahead for a couple months out in preparation for a big event. I'm okay either way, but it may kind of depend on him. He doesn't really get anything for coming here. It's just helpful to us. So I want to be
He gets
fair.
to bill for his hours.
Oh, does he?
I'm sure
okay.
he bills. If he works in the evening, he will bill for hours.
Okay.
But also,
I
you know,
think he would. I think he'd be quite flexible in that. I think we have to have a purpose to it.
Okay.
But I think my sense is he appreciates us being involved and wants to work with us. So.
but part of the purpose of having you as a liaison is that he doesn't have to be here for
So
every single.
He's been very good.
Yeah.
Like when they were going to go out and do the drilling, he sent a memo to Ed, and I was included in it. I figured the folks didn't need to know about that, but if there's big stuff, I would let people know ahead of time, either through Aaron or directly, depending on the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's been sort of a specific things, the 3 big things I mentioned that they've been doing. So.
Well, I guess we don't leave it up to you whether or not you think he should come and talk with us, or you can just give us the update.
Again, and if the committee wants it, we say we want it, and then we have to work with him to make sure it works for his time, because he's
Okay.
kids and stuff.
Just again, and I know I missed the last meeting, but in principle, to me, I couldn't the more he's here, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Just mostly for just educating us. We're not professionals in this field,
Yeah.
and yet we're the point. We are the point committee for this project right now.
Yeah.
So the more we talk to him, the smarter we're going to be about this, and the more engaged we can be. I suppose just being passive recipients.
So,
Well, especially as we have more meetings with people in the community, and we don't want to we don't want to have them asking us questions and we're going, you know. So we should be informed.
so
you know.
is August seem to work for you, Mike, or do you think
Well,
we need to meet before then? There's going to be one other meeting before then, possibly.
So we'll need a month, at least a month. I prefer 6. I'm thinking about planning this event. I'm thinking backward.
Yeah.
To plan the event, it's, the friends are going to end up doing some amount of the turnout operation. So I'm guessing like 6 weeks in advance would be swell. To have at least 6 weeks in advance to have them here. So we could, A, understand what's going to be in the proposal, what they've done to date and what their recommendations are, and B, walk through what that meeting would look like. And then I can work with the friends to be a liaison with the friends to make sure we have the turnout.
So if the group thinks they want him here for the next meeting, we should decide, and then I can work with him and you and figure out a schedule that works. Otherwise, we'll plan for August. Is it?
I'm in favor of August. I agree that the more info we have, the better. But if he passes on to you milestones, things like that, and then August has some focus on not only project update, but in preparation for something like this, if we do it mid-August, mid to late August, depending on vacation schedules, that gives us all of September and then maybe mid-October-ish for a town meeting.
I'm sure I can get a copy of his proposal and make sure I share with the group by email the core of what they're going to be doing for the next year, which is the other thing that he would present. And then,
Here's a question for you. This is a new project, in a sense. Starting on June 30th, we're into a new project. That doesn't mean it needs to be competitively bid again?
No, the way this works. There are apparently certain types of things where you do a request for qualifications, which we did, and they were accepted as one of, I think, 3 groups. And then based on their qualifications, you don't have to go out for bid. Because this is not like we're bidding the whole project at once. We knew it was going to be 3 years. We didn't have all the money. So I think part of the state process is you're allowed to do it that way, and that's the way it was done. So we have a decision after request for qualifications. The town decided to go with Ty and Bond for this project, and it's sort of then a negotiation based on the money we have. Does that make sense? Okay. But it is different than some projects where you have to do requests for proposals, multiple bids, and competitive bidding. Sort of a different process.
I'm going to be bonkers in this case because they've done so much work already. But
There's a bunch of reasons it doesn't make sense for the process, and the state, I think, recognizes that.
So before we leave the grant, talking about the grants, Mark and I were talking earlier today about the total amount of
What are you doing?
grant money that we might need to complete the project. And so it does seem like we still will need to submit an additional grant for $150,000 to $200,000 to complete the planning, design, and permitting phase. Just thinking ahead about what Mark and I might be doing over the next year.
And that was partly in agreement with what they had sort of estimated. I don't know if it was at this meeting or heard it someplace else, but if you look, their work goes past July 2024, and although it gets less, there's still a lot of work, and so we'll need funding going forward. And the census and Mass Trails and the state really wants this to happen. We'll be supportive, but before February, we'll be submitting another round of the Mass Trails grant and asking for CPC match.
One more time.
Hopefully
Maybe we won't need that, but
No, we will, unless someone magically comes up with money.
Unless the
their
friends
work goes
raise
into the following
hundreds of
fiscal year.
thousands, a couple $100,000.
I have a little log going, and I was after adding the 320 to the log, I was curious what that's why I asked about 75%, how close we could be to wrapping up permitting with design and engineering. And I also don't know if there's any other costs that we either don't know about or should apply a buffer to before construction and state dollars kicks in. But yeah, I would imagine it never hurts so long as the time aligns with when we hope to allocate it to the last of the design work.
Yeah. So, but the other thing just to bring up in terms of the grant, part of this grant is the town's match was $15,000 of, what's the right term? In-kind funding. So some of that is Ed's time, some of it is highway department time, and some of it is volunteer time, which get billed out at like $31 an hour. So I have to figure out if we can actually start to need to keep some tabs on that, but probably not a bad idea, at least a couple of us keep tabs. I think we can get to the number we need without problems, but just I have to find out, Ed, if we how specifically you need to document that.
Yeah, good question.
So start keeping track of the amount of time that we're spending actually working on this stuff.
So we calculated 15 hours per month for 12 months, which I don't think will be hard to meet. It's just whether we have to, how strictly we need to document that, and I'll try to clarify with that.
Does that include time attending Friends meetings?
Anything that's related to work of making this successful, I think. I don't think we can, I don't think I can bill for grant writing time, or people who work on
We
grant.
can't bill for that? That's working.
I actually have a feeling that for some reason when you're putting it in that you're right, grant writing, getting paid by the grant to do grant writing doesn't work. That's just from past experience.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that's the only thing.
We should find out about that.
I think we'll be fine on the time.
Pretty good amount of time doing that.
I think there is something about that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on the grant or status of Tyne Bond's work?
And you're going to let Jen know to get it out with the friend, announce it in the Friends, through the Friends network? Okay.
I'm gonna, yes.
Or do you want me to, or that's, okay?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Take care of it.
I copied Jen on, well, just maybe the last email about the funds being awarded, but I wanted to ask, what is in operation now? Is there social media? Is there a newsletter
Are we on to
distributed?
the Friends?
What's that?
Are we on to the Friends?
Number 3.
If no one else has other topics, that was going to be my clever segue, but we don't need to make the jump. Either way.
So the Friends, the most recent Friends meeting was probably 4 weeks ago. Anyway, it was, again, might have been 7 or 8 people, but it was enough people to get 4 to volunteer as officers. The last 1 or 2 took some arm twisting.
Yeah.
But the Friends now have 4 officers.
Okay.
I think Jen Robert's brother-in-law, whose name I'm blanking on, is now our president. Take it. We just needed officers, right?
Yeah.
We just needed names. So the Friends have a slate of officers, and next meeting is Wednesday. This coming Wednesday,
21st.
We did some archaeology, and we've been able to assemble a mailing list with about 197 names on it, last I checked. This is going back about 250 years. So, some of those people will be out of town, some will be frankly deceased. But somewhere in there is the beginnings of a real mailing list. I got the Friends' blessing to build a website, which God knows, I'm not building. We have an anonymous donor who's funding the development work, and we're using a vendor that I use in my business, named Confluent Forums, just up in East Hampton. For a whopping $1,000, they're going to build kind of a basic what we call a brochure website. Sort of just the facts, some frequently asked questions, some pretty pictures, and contact/sign up form.
Place to donate.
Yeah, and I'll have call it a prototype to show. at the next meeting.
Okay.
It's very easy and very fast.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that site will be up and running within a month or so, maybe less.
And how do you pay that company?
Through the anonymous donors provided funds for that.
You do have funds?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're off to the races.
Great.
And I think this coming meeting we'll be talking about some of this. Oh, and we also now have a MailChimp account for, both communicating with members and serving as a database as people sign up. Basically, the website will shoot new contacts and new members into MailChimp. So that will be our membership database over time. And we'll use that for ongoing communications. So it's a Facebook page. We'll see. We're going to talk about it at the meeting. It's going to require probably somebody other than me who wants to update it. So
Have you-
we'll see if there's a volunteer.
I view Facebook as a necessary evil. I think it's just,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
always so much that comes with it, pros and cons, but if we're looking to generate attention and distribute information, like we have an upcoming meeting related to butter input, et cetera, Facebook gets the word out quickly. So I do think it will be helpful.
So I agree. It's just a matter of finding, when you ask,
The willing.
because it's an early stage group.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
What about the town website? Can anything be put there for friends?
That's me.
No? Okay.
That's me in my capacity as a committee member.
Okay.
So Aaron actually said you finally got directions from Ed on how we can update the site. So
Which I think is also in its infancy. Like, I don't know if it's actually, if you can go in and make edits yet, or if it was just giving you, I
I
can't
haven't
remember.
even tried. It's on my list for the
Okay.
next few days. So
Yeah.
so as a committee member, I will also be updating the page on the town site, which I consider minimally, well, I can't comment on the new website they've developed, but I'm guessing it's going to be minimally useful. There's
Yeah.
just no reason to think that it's going to be optimized for search or...
Yeah. I think it's
You
a
can
reference.
announce the grant.
Yeah, sure, of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't
But
know if it will
think
be interactive, or if it's just kind of like a reference page, but if you can,
It's a reference
post-
page. I mean,
yeah.
there'll be a link to, there's a link to the Greenway Committee's email address. But that's
Yeah.
it. So it's pretty limited what can be done there. But
Robert Floyd's newsletter did include announcement of the upcoming meeting of the Friends. So it
Oh, good. It was Jim.
just so you're aware.
So we're still, it's early days. We're kind of, we're putting some of the infrastructure in place, but it's gonna take some time to find a cadre of, really engaged volunteers.
How many members do you think you have now?
How do you define members? No, really, I mean,
From what I've heard.
the last two meetings I've been to each had maybe 10 people.
The same 10 people, no.
No.
Okay.
There were some, they're intersecting but different. So maybe 15 people have come to a Friends meeting.
Plus or minus.
But again, we have a mailing list with almost 200 names on it, and I think a significant number of them will be members of Friends, however you define a member. If you're willing to define membership loosely at this point.
Well, how do you generate interest? That, I guess, is another, you need some resource to say, this group exists, it's going to be active,
That's
and we're looking for more.
Southamptongreenway.org.
Well, tell
And
me-
coupled with the Facebook presence. And
Okay.
there will be, so the website will have obviously a contact page, which will include an option for joining the Friends and expressing interest in volunteering. And Facebook will figure out a way to make Facebook do the same thing.
And talking about that, are we going to have a table at Celebrate Southampton? That might be a good place
We
to.
discussed at the Friend, it's on the list for
That would
Friends.
be by Friends and not by
I don't
us.
think we can,
We cannot.
but Friends can. And
Why can't
can you-
community preservation do it and open space, everybody else can do it? Why can't we do it?
is that true that the other town
We-
committees have done that?
Community preservation's always had a table. I think open space is having one.
I think, do you remember when it is?
August the 13th and 14th, I believe.
Of August?
Uh-huh.
I think Tammy invited us, and I think I responded saying, I'll do it, or at
Good.
least someone.
Yeah.
So I think we can.
I
That
think
may be
so.
per Tammy as opposed to a town official, but I can confirm with that question specifically if I should tiptoe.
You said other
more.
committees have been there before, so it should be.
I know
not a
Community
problem.
Preservation has, and Open Space has, and Richard Ferry's gonna, I mean, not Richard Ferry, Bob Kosip's gonna do the canal thing, and I think just about anybody who wants to do it can do it.
Okay.
I'll confirm.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe-
August 11th.
August 11th.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't happen to know if there's any reason why a committee should not represent itself at Celebrate Southampton Day?
No, I think it's just whoever wants to.
Is it
decide
11th?
to spend the day there.
Yeah.
Is
I'll,
it-
I think it's mostly Saturday. I think Friday is just like music.
Well, what's Saturday, the 12th?
The Saturday is the 12th. The 11th, I think, is just like when you go pick up the food from the church
so
and you go
actually
listen to the music. And then that whole Saturday, they have little tables set up where people are shopping little kind of crafts.
So the
or whatever.
12th is
And then
the-
you also have the committees.
Yeah.
And there was food trucks last year. It was fun.
The 12th is actually the date for the celebration, right?
And they're both considered the celebration.
Yeah, 11th and 12th, okay. Yeah.
So
But
this
yeah,
is,
the 12th is like when the committee is
Uh-huh.
set up. But I think you have to set up the night before. There's something with the setup that you have to do it
Okay.
before. You have to have your own table, I think.
so I would love for the Friends to be involved in this, just because, anything. It's good to give the Friends responsibility to see who steps up, and
Of course, yeah.
just building that, slowly building kind of a culture of involvement.
Yeah.
So when it comes up at the meeting, whoever kind of reluctantly raises their hand, can I just refer them, give them your contact info?
Absolutely.
And it can just be
Yeah.
a coordinated effort?
Tables next to each other maybe or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Or one,
Yeah, I don't know. the
two tables
process.
separated by an inch.
Yeah. Yeah. Any combination of, just as long as there's some
Yeah, just
presence
so
and
it's
activity, I
consistent
think is.
presence.
Yeah, I'll get more info too. I'll make sure we can attend without causing any conflict, and then I don't know. Try to start to get some. We need to have some content or something to either distribute or something to show for ourselves to either be helpful or educate anyone who's interested. And I will try to have. I'll put it on my to-do list. Something to propose maybe next meeting as to what good will be at Celebrate Southampton.
So we have
So-
tech, we have, especially because the Friends website's going to be going up, we will have, boilerplate text if we
Mhm.
want to create some collateral.
Okay.
I don't think we should invest in anything fancy, but we can certainly do a fact sheet
Yeah.
and have a couple laptops open
Yeah.
with either the town, one can have the town website, one can have the Friends website up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds
Maybe-
good.
Maybe get some bigger maps and poster board or something. Where you think it's helpful.
Once upon a time, I bet they're in this room somewhere. Once upon a time, there were great big
Like a
maps
sort of-
on foam core.
Okay.
I don't have anything on foam core, but Chris Fallows gave me a large box of very old documents, and there may be
Okay.
rolled up materials in there. I will check to see if maps or any of those things. TBD on that.
Yeah, those were great. I can't imagine where else they would be at this point, other than hiding in this space.
Yeah, needle in a haystack, maybe.
You're a perfect person to do the map quest.
Yeah, it's like being in a map, it's like being in a map dealer shop. Just rummaging around. So anyway, I
Okay.
will put whoever steps up, put them in contact with you, so there can be some kind of coordination.
Perfect. Okay.
I will be out of town, I'll be out of town that weekend.
I hope we won't be. I maybe am jumping the gun a little bit, but I'll try to make sure I can attend in some sort. Part of the reason why I had to make a note here, to be sure. Okay, anything else on the Friends group or communication plans? Was there any other feedback or anything after the mailing went out to abutters? Anything that we should be?
Well, yeah, Mark and I visited Grindstone, and we just showed up on a day that we spoke with the Mister.
Eric?
And his wife was at a show, so we didn't meet her. But we left our contact information. It was a good conversation. We encouraged them to let us know if they had any requests or concerns. And the earlier that they provided input, the better, and the more likely that it would be easy to incorporate their wishes into the design. We haven't heard back from them.
And
yet.
the way we left is they would call us back at a time that was convenient to meet.
Yeah.
Because they're busy and we're not as busy. So we just haven't heard back. I left a phone message in follow-up in case they lost, because we gave a slip of paper when he was in the middle of moving manure or something.
Moving hay up to the loft, yeah.
So I decided to call back with phone numbers in case he lost their phone number. We haven't heard back. And I also let Alex Vagnon know that we started the process of meeting with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which he had requested that we give any feedback we get.
There were two requests that he felt comfortable putting forward, and one was that it seems like they've pretty much decided that they would like fencing the entire way through their property, but also he is willing to consider offering a part of his property as a place to stage equipment for the construction phase. Because there's an area of his fields that are overgrown now that he's not able to hay, but when the APR folks came through, they noticed that he wasn't using that and said something about, he's supposed to be using the land as agricultural land, and so he thought it might be mutually beneficial if the state, when they came to the construction phase, wanted to use part of his property for equipment, and they would just,
if needed.
they would destroy it basically with their stuff, and then he would just seed it. So anyway, we're just planting those kind of ideas for requests for him.
There's no specific discussion whether they really want an equestrian path in that area or not. They have to think about it. But
he was very concerned about, because his family, including his kids, hunt, and he was concerned about the surveyors coming onto his property without notifying him that they were going to be there, just for safety reasons. But we talked about that in our previous meeting.
So we'll get more information.
It wasn't a threat.
No, it was.
No.
He was very. He seemed very positive.
Yeah.
I don't understand why surveyors aren't expected to notify landowners.
Apparently they.
But they don't have to.
But they said they don't usually.
They don't. They don't have to already know.
They can
but
just.
I don't know why they have that right.
Frankly, I don't know how you could. I just think it'd be such a tall task finding not only who owns every piece of property, but the contact information of them. Whether it would be phone, do you have to write in letter, do you have to wait for a response? That would very much hold up a project, I'd imagine. So
just contact the landowner and say we're going to be on your property next week.
And then they say no, and
what,
then
right,
take them to court.
Or what if they don't answer the phone? Then can you not?
But anyhow, it's done.
Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate just because
I just don't understand
the,
why that is the way, because they're on our property all the time and across the street, and there's those little tags on the ground, and they never take their little markers off. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And actually, so I did speak with Eric from Grindstone just a little while ago because he was out with APR folks and was in my yard at the moment. So I popped out just to check in to see what's going on. But he said the same thing. He's very interested in not privacy, but restricting access because he says he sees a lot of trespassing into his field. So I can appreciate that, and if that's the request, this is something I think Alex will have more input on, but if the request is maximum privacy, okay, what are the options, how do you get it done? But I also know that there's property on both sides of the train tracks now, and I'd imagine he should, if he doesn't, want access back and forth, so at least have a gate or something. But
I think he has 2 right-of-ways that he's using, or they used to use a lot, and I don't know how often they're using, but that are established, and that and so how they manage that will be discussion.
I don't want to leave anything up to, I don't want to assume anything for anyone, so that's why these, the input options will be extremely valuable, and if they don't present needs or input when the time comes, then you can't solve every problem, but that will be a key piece when the time
And we told them that it's going to be helpful for Ty and Bond to have some sense of what they're hoping for, and Alex knows we've spoken with them, and we'll get back to when we have details.
Yeah.
So the other piece of that is I spoke with Bob Fletcher Fletcher Farm was another bigger piece with APR. And they have one right-of-way off of Glen Road. It's about an eighth of a mile up from the bridge in the river. He uses to access fields. His main concern is people going onto that field and destroying crops. So he would want some fencing along there also, and there'll probably be some gate for him to get in and out.
Yeah.
He didn't have any major concerns. The other minor thing is they're going to be constructing on top of the current rail bed, so it's probably going to be, I'm not sure exactly how much, probably up about 8 to 14 inches or something from the existing rail bed. That will increase the slope of the right-of-way. He didn't think that would be a problem.
Okay.
Because they don't take apart they build on top of it.
Yeah. Well, right. You just want to encapsulate all that hazardous
So
underneath.
I don't think there's major issues for him, and I also pass that information on to Alex.
Okay.
Thank you guys for doing that legwork.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So this is related. I put it on here as an agenda item. I don't expect that we can have an answer to this, but I was contacted via the Greenway's email address from Glenn, who owns Sheldon's, and he has a major concern about parking, rightfully so. When the weather's great, Sheldon's does not have enough parking, and he wants his business to thrive. So if and when the path comes along, he doesn't want parking consumed by path users as opposed to people using the business, which is a good question. So I'd imagine there will be signage and hopefully some directions planned out by Alex and Ty and Bond when the time comes. But curiosity got the best of me, and is there anything we can propose or any ideas we can have for parking?
Where does the right-of-way terminate? I should know this.
It's going to, I think we talked about all the way to Route 10. So
Actually, I'm sorry, it's the wrong question. What does the right-of-way look like around Sheldon's?
I think it's the same, just it's narrow.
Like, there's no room, there's no bulge anywhere where we could put in parking?
I do not believe so.
I was wondering that too, because on the opposite side is Brickyard. Brickyard obviously goes south as well, but Brickyard is the dirt road that goes to Strong Street maybe or something like that. And I was kind of wondering if you, on the opposite side of the train tracks, have half a dozen parking spaces.
Well, that's interesting because
maybe buying a parcel of that land.
So
the town owns that land. The rail trail that the town purchased, doesn't it go all the way through? I know that our project...
Not enough for parking.
Yeah, I mean, there's width and the road. And so Glenn actually his email included a comment, and I can share it with him. He was interested too, but there was something about either conservation land or something that may be either donated or taken or applied or something that made it sound like there's a chunk of land in a transaction that does not allow it or prohibits it from being considered for parking. So that particular area at its terminus, the path will kind of terminate there, would be desirable for parking, but probably inaccessible for parking.
Well, I think across south of Brickyard Extension, if the town could purchase a small parcel
Of the field?
Of the field, I don't think it's being used much there. It's something I think that
Is that maybe what you're referencing though? That if it's in a conservation easement,
that's not
in
field
conservation. Are you talking about?
No.
So it goes
Where you turn off Route 10 to go down.
So I'm going to throw something out there. I'm the newest guy and I'm following along like using a map.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering I don't know if we can ever get to a place where when we're having our meetings, we're actually able to.
I can see it.
You know what I mean?
Put a map up?
I mean, it's easier for me because I'm just kind of following along. So it's just a thought for another time.
Further down Brickyard Extension, there's a place where people can pull over and park cars if they're going to be hiking on the Hazel Young Trail. I don't know whether that's close enough for people who might want to leave a car.
It's not really big enough, ideally big enough, I think.
You could leave several cars there.
I mean, and if someone could do it, I wonder if we would be out of line for promoting it. If you start to promote parking lots or parking spaces, if you have a flood, and then I don't know.
So I did speak with Ed briefly, and thinking about the parking. So one of them is the parking at the library and the town, Conan Park. And they're in the process of designing the rebuilding East Street through that area, although that's probably about the same timeline out as we're dealing with. But if they can make sure there's adequate access from there to the East Street portion of the Greenway is a piece of the parking. And not everything, but at least that's, and I think the parking is a big issue at both the north end, the middle, and the south.
Yeah.
There's a few spots at Gun Road, pull off, I'm not sure who owns that or if it can be used.
I happen to like that spot. It's the awkward 3 street intersection near the underpass. I've always thought a rotary should go in there, but if it was a rotary with a handful of parking spots, you'd be dangerously close to access. It would be the Fletcher Farm access. But it's an option, but of course, I also don't know who owns it at the moment. There's a sandy patch where you could put a couple cars.
I think you need to think about increasing what's at Coleman Road, something near East Street, something, it's a big issue, and that's...
This is for Ty and Bond.
This is for...
Right, it's a priority, but just something I wanted the group to be aware of. That
Yeah.
I don't want to further complicate things too much, but on the one hand, obviously he's got to recognize that his business is going to increase in quite a big, right?
Yeah.
And on the other, like, we still don't know if he's going to settle for a sign that says, don't just park here and bike.
Right.
But the thing, I smiled to myself because I'm like, honestly, who doesn't get an ice cream if they're going out on the bike trail and they're going to go take a ride? So there's going to be a mess of bikes there, and there's going to be people parked there with bicycles all over the place going, yeah, but I just had my ice cream.
Yeah. It's a very
I'm
good
parking
problem to
here.
have.
You know what I mean? Like, but my point is, people are going to say, I'm soliciting this business too. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It's going to be messy, but I don't see we're not going to have a solution to it.
I think we still may need to try to figure out how to supplement parking at that end, and at least have Ty and Bond explore that.
Sure, absolutely. I think that should happen, but push comes to shove, he's going to get a sign that says, don't park here.
Don't get ice cream, don't park here.
A bike ride might take 2 hours, and ice cream cone might take 15
no, I
minutes.
agree. It's just that it's going to be that interplay of people arriving and saying,
It's in a tough spot. It really is.
Yeah.
It's a perfect spot.
In the long run,
it's a great
problem. He'll be better off. I think.
He will be much better off.
Yeah.
There's a solution to this.
Absolutely. And it might kind of just fall. It might fall into place. It certainly may not, and I think it should be explored. But I don't know. You can worry about the parking, but
yeah, I mean, it's not something that should keep us up at night, but because people are inquiring, and it's a very reasonable question for both the abutters and the couple of businesses around town. I just figured we'd keep it front and center.
Yeah, and what you say is, please bring your concerns forward. We want to hear them. The engineers are working on this. The more input we have, the better.
The October meeting will be.
We understand your concerns. They're legitimate. I think that
was one of Melissa Haskins'
That's the only way to go.
last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
She was worried about that.
Yeah. So privacy, parking, there are some major things. We'll just keep them in mind, I guess.
I will pass
there's no
that
way to park
concern
on that road on Gun. Not Gun.
Brickyard Extension.
Brickyard Extension.
Well, it's a narrow dirt road right now.
I mean, I've been there. Is
that the one that runs here along?
There is actually a little parking area just 100 or 200 yards down from Sheldon. It's not big.
It's at the end of the Hazel Young Trail.
It's well before Hazel Young.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
There's a little pull-off, but it might be 4
Oh,
cars.
yes.
And it's right on the little brook too. So I don't know if you're going to need a distance away for a number of cars.
Sometimes that road's closed because it's so muddy and wet in there.
But if it's for bicycles, people can go. That's
but so we couldn't bring cars and stuff. Down by the other Manhan sign is a little pull
So
off.
I will bring this discussion to Alex and just saying this came up and there's concerns. And,
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
I would actually propose we keep a running tab, a running list of concerns. Who's raised them, who's raised them, what their address is, what the concern is. Because it's so easy for this stuff to get lost in the sauce.
When we spoke with the folks at Grindstone, we asked them to put it in writing, make a list. And I think that's a good idea, Mike. I think that's a great idea.
So who and how?
Yeah, I could make a list. I could even keep it hard copy if we want to add to it at meetings as we go.
And I sent an email to Alex with the Fletcher's concerns sort of written out. And certainly can distribute to the committee if you want.
Just think we should keep a master list
I'll send a copy to you.
for the sake of, because we just don't want somebody to slip through and have
think
them
it's a
stand
good
up in
idea.
a public venue and say, hey, a well-respected, citizen in town stand up and say, hey, you've completely ignored me.
And then a column for disposition of that concern, what was ever done about it.
I do want to clarify that at the town meeting, I think folks south of the Brickyard Route 10 extension felt as if their concerns weren't valid, and I think they're very valid, but I also tried to confirm that it's not part of our current scope. So that's just one item that I think I'll continue to not go out on a limb for, just because I don't have information to share for anything south of Route 10 going down Brickyard as far as direction, scope, if it will be used, not be used.
Well, the committee has been asked to work on this 3.2 or 3.5 mile section. That's our mandate right now.
Yep,
And
that's all I can talk to. Okay, any ideas, suggestions, next steps, anything else to consider before?
Small thing,
Yeah.
we're down one member?
We are a committee of 8 right now.
Well, 2 things. I don't know if this, when was the last time Paul attended a meeting?
Years, maybe. Maybe
We
it's
should
maybe
see if he
confused.
wants to be on the committee or not.
I have, per Ed. Ed has tried to light the fire, and he says I should say, and this is back when the committee was much more sparse, actually, and it was holding up votes. We couldn't move on. We weren't reaching a quorum. And he has since insisted that he still wants to remain on the committee. Unfortunately, I don't get responses to emails, and he's still not at meetings. I can continue to ask. I don't know if it's up to me. I don't know if we're a volunteer committee. I don't want to try to make a fire of someone, but really,
It's not worth
What
it
did
right
Ed
now,
say, though, about that email you said you had from Paul resigning? Did he accept that?
Ed accepted resignations, but Paul did not resign. We had resignations from Dan and Bob.
Bob Barker. Who's Dan? Who's Dan?
Dan
Rakowski.
Okay,
He was the time bond employee.
he felt it was getting too much of a conflict.
okay.
Yeah.
So
but
you
I'm
have
not
an
sure you've
email
met
from Dan? and
Yes.
Do you have anything from Bob?
Yes, I sent both to Ed, and they were both acceptable.
Accepted. So can
Yep.
I take their names then off of the members list?
Yep.
And leave it the way that I sent it to you in alphabetical order?
Is this on My Town Government?
Well, I have it at the top. It says proposed or proposed members, and then the regular members, which include those people, is listed as the members.
Oh,
But,
I thought I'd edited that.
I was waiting to hear from you to see if Ed was going to accept those email resignations.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dan is resigned officially.
So the reason why we're talking about this is because I mentioned it. Ed asked that I let him know when members resign, so I did, and he said he needs formal resignation letters. I actually took the emails; they're less formal, but I sent those to Ed, and those ended up being acceptable. So in his eyes, whatever he does on his end in the background, they've resigned. I thought I'd edited My Town Government because I can control that. I
And unless-
cannot control the town website.
Yeah.
So I think the town website is
It'll
out
be
of date.
fixed.
I thought My Town Government was up to date. I can confirm that. My Town Government doesn't really, the resignation, the formalities are less critical because we can make edits as
So
needed.
you'll take care of that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think Bob Barkham's was so long ago, his term just expired, right? And he-
I think Bob joined when it was you're on the committee until the project ends. I think
Oh.
only recently in the last year or two, Ed started adding end dates, which were maybe 2 or 3 year appointments maybe. So I don't think we have any appointments threatening expiration until 2024 maybe.
That might be a good thing to put on the members list, that when their term, if they have an expiration date.
I think that is on the town website now.
Okay,
I could be mistaken,
I
but
think that's still out of date. Leave people that.
well, check and see, because I think Ed made that after this was the charge was created by the select board, maybe over the winter. I think.
And they increased the membership to 9.
Yeah, right, exactly. I think end dates were added. So
you're going to take care of both of them?
I'll
then?
check those.
Okay,
Roster in both places and end dates as needed.
okay.
If people have suggestions of a specific additional person that we think would be good to join us,
And when you also do that, be sure and put that Dave and I are both co-secretaries, co-clerks, whatever you call them.
You can,
Because it's not that way the last time I looked, so.
on My Town Government, I think it is.
Okay.
think
I haven't
so.
looked
You can
in a
change
while.
that?
As long as both of us are listed.
I think so.
Or I haven't tried yet,
Can
but
you try, yeah.
again, Aaron sent
And I
me a
know it's
whole list of
legitimate.
instructions for editing the town website.
Maybe we can approach Libby Baldwin again now that we don't have an engineer on our.
Well, she's with Ty and Bond, and
Oh,
unless
she
she's
is.
retiring,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
she's talked about retiring, but until she retires, she probably has a conflict of interest.
So I will, I'll bring it up, certainly bring it up at the Friends meeting, and we'll use, again, our mailing list. I'll get out an email saying there's an opening on the committee, make sure, invite people to call you for information.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
we'll see if we can churn somebody up that way.
Yeah, I think it's advantageous to have an odd number of committee members, and then another active person, at least one at the moment, we can take on would be great. Maybe in the near future we'll have room for two. But of course, the Friends group needs some additional population too. So either way, gaining membership in either category is not a bad thing.
What about Colby?
It's up to him. He said he was a part of the committee years ago. It was before
Yeah,
my
that's
time.
actually-
He resigned, I think, just too many pots boiling.
Yeah.
Kids.
But
I mean, he's a, Colby, I don't even know his last name, but he
Brown.
happens to be, yeah, down on Manhattan Road. Was on the committee for a little while, and you know, I don't know how long, but I think he's a regional planner or a town planner of some kind, and you know, it was certainly in his wheelhouse to be a part of this committee and be involved. He brings something to the table.
maybe as a more casual connection, he wants to be on that Friends group and
Yeah.
help
I
with
don't know.
And Doric is,
Do you have his contact info?
Doric is really involved. Doric, he likes.
Doric seems to.
He's been
yeah.
here.
I think I don't know if he said he was traveling,
The last
but
2 meetings, but not
Yeah.
2. Okay.
He's
he has a wealth of
specifically
knowledge
said-
too.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Doric.
Yeah,
is
he's
that
got
he just
great
knows
history.
everything about the town and everything.
Yeah.
Everything
about
about
the town.
everything, yeah.
Colby's number is 413-570.
We're being recorded too, by the way. It's just that.
5056.
Okay. Just letting
It's
you know.
all right.
Um,
I think it's all right. Actually, you guys tell me.
okay.
So we do need to set up a next meeting? I
Actually, I'm
didn't
going to
mean-
throw out one more thing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
interruption.
You looked for a good map. Is there a good map?
There is a good map.
Because when you guys started talking about the running list of concerns, I imagined
Yeah,
the big
define
map with all the yarn on it and
Well,
stickers
there's
and stuff.
a good map, there's a couple good maps that have approached in different ways. The issue of printing them large enough for
Right.
people to be able to look at.
They're
I
not
have
great
the-
for the web, I mean, I'm going to use them because we have them, they're not great for the website.
Okay.
I want a physical one like that.
Yeah.
That shows our 3.5 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah, like
I
they,
do
like
have a
something like
copy of
this.
that.
We can get
Yeah.
the town's like section, which is actually this right here. But I think either between the town or town bond, someone's got to have this.
I have one that I had actually
Yeah.
get to, from one of our groups.
Town Bond provides the one for the assessor's office for the town, so they probably would have something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure we can get it into a.
The question is
Could
getting,
Time Bond give us, could they print it out really big for us?
I can ask them.
Does anybody know a graphic designer? Is anybody friends with the graphic designer? Or just somebody who's got a gift with,
I know.
Photoshop or, because I mean, I looked at the maps you sent, they're not, I mean, again, I'll use one of them on the website, but they're not quite right, I think, for the purpose.
I don't,
You know,
I'll ask a couple people.
But if anybody knows a designer we could borrow who's, civic minded and just do us a
so
solid,
what do you think you want on the map? I'm just trying to figure
as
out.
little as possible,
I'm sorry?
as little as possible.
And
Really,
you're saying you want more.
it would
Well,
be-
no, then we would add, you know what I mean? Like you could, if you wanted to put a pin in it and have, this is one of our major issues that's right here. This is
Oh, you want to print it?
You want a
But-
working map.
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
what
and
we
we-
have is fine for
we
that.
can- And I can actually have a printer, I can blow up at least in black and white.
But then, the big nice one is a good idea too, just in terms of forward thinking and meetings with people and anything else. Like the nicer the map that we can generate, the bigger
But
we
it's a
can get
good,
it.
there's ones that are, they have show different things. One is a GPS map,
Mhm.
so it depends a little bit on what you're looking for. I can send you, I can send out to committee what I do have, and then I can try to actually print it out for the next meeting so we can be looking at that. I also have those linear maps that you, plasticized ones that you passed on to me when you were cleaning out your office. You had like 6 linear
Maybe
maps.
those are the ones I was looking for around here. Maybe you have them.
You want to clear out your office, and you.
I don't want them
messing with my
back.
office.
Definitely don't want them back.
But I can bring those to the next meeting also. With it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking just like an old, graphically elegant thing that would
Okay.
just be suitable for brochures, a website,
Right.
with very little, Route 10,
Yeah.
Coleman Road,
Right, yeah.
Sheldon's,
Here it
in
is.
nice colors.
Yeah.
Have you
It's
seen
not a
the
huge distance, so we
feasibility
should be able to get into one image.
The town website, go to
Is that
Greenway
what you
Committee,
do, or do you
Yes.
do maps?
they have some nice
do
starter
old
There
maps.
are some good maps there, no question.
I do
Yeah.
And I
very,
can-
very old maps.
That may be one
I
thing
don't make them.
for us to work on.
Okay, just for a few dates, the second Thursday in July is the 13th. The third Thursday in July is the 20th. I'm only throwing those out just because we're on a good run of Thursday evenings. If anyone has travel plans, if you need to work around vacations, I can be flexible. Doesn't have to be Thursday. Doesn't actually have to be here. We could gamble. We could go with a park location.
On Thursday's fine.
I think
Wednesdays are
summer
the
bugs.
concerts.
Would avoid summer bugs.
There could be mosquitoes. Yeah, I could bring a candle, or we could go indoors. But yeah, I would if you want to start with either the 13th or the 20th.
The 13th is not good for me.
Yeah, and I'm away.
20th?
20th is possible.
You say that.
Should we pencil
But
in?
Mark, it's July we're talking about.
Yeah, it's as good as I can get for committing.
I'll put it on. I'll put it on my town government. We'll leave it there, and if
20th?
plans come up,
20th?
yeah, July 20th. Let's say it's a Thursday. Let's say 7 p.m. again.
Okay.
And if anything comes up, let me know. And if enough folks let me know, then I'm happy to reschedule.
Here at the second floor or where?
Yes, but it sounds like the third Thursdays are popular meeting nights. So sometimes Lucy will move around who meets where. So expect this unless I tell you otherwise.
Well, the
Then we'll
workroom's
just.
okay too downstairs.
Yeah, she actually volunteered someone to take it, and they did, so it works. But I'll set the meeting up for that, and like I said, if anything comes up, no sweat.
Great.
Okay, anything else? Speak now,
So
or
I will
report
send
button.
out copies of maps to approve, just so people see what we have. And anything I get about the time bond plans, I will forward to the group. And I'll
You mean
ask
their
their proposal for coming up. I'm sure I can get some. I don't know what form it's going to be in, but yes, whatever I get. Pass on.
Okay.
Well, I think that we should just end by appreciating the moment of receiving the grant. I think it's a major milestone.
Yay!
Nice
A
work.
big thing.
We could need to cheer or something. That would be.
Yeah.
Hip, hip,
yeah.
hooray.
Yeah.
This is really 80% of the way to getting the design
Yeah.
finished,
Yeah.
time-wise
After all
and
these years.
and
Yeah,
money-wise.
it's really moving.
It's huge.
It's happening.
I mean, I've been involved in this thing for 100 years, and this is, the last few months, the first time I've been able to say, confidence, it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, Ed was on the ball and has actually started the contracting process, so we're not holding time bond back as of July 1st. It's really,
I saw your picture on the internet too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're famous. You're famous.
They didn't give you that big check though.
what's that? They gave me a classic piece of- they gave me a water bottle. It was really nice. It's a really nice water bottle.
What's this? $20,000 water bottle. Yeah. Now, would you like for me to make the copies of the minutes next time downstairs? Because I can do that when I can't get in.
I don't know if it's necessary, but if one of our tasks is to approve minutes from the past meeting, I don't know how else everyone would
Yeah, I
view
think we
it.
should have them
Yeah,
present.
because I can run in and make them. I hope see what we're going to do tonight.
You guys just email.
Email and just
Email
say,
the
look
document to people.
before.
Yeah.
Bring your edits or forever hold your
If they're
peace.
sent ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
would you rather I email it to you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay with not killing trees too. I just needed I imagine someone need a way to view it, and then
Yeah.
bring your edits.
Well, I can just email it to everybody.
Yeah, that works.
That's right, and then we can review it before the meeting.
That's what I do for my other committees. That
Okay.
I do the minutes for. So yeah, okay, I'll do that.
If you don't
maybe
mind, let's go for that.
the weekend before, so you won't lose it or whatever.
Okay. Much
Okay.
appreciated.
And
Great.
so,
All right.
eight-
Motion to adjourn.
8:11.
Thank you, everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Exact hour.
Second.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.